A frustrating Sunday for sure, but in general, this was another very successful weekend for your Detroit Tigers. Let's talk about it all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Monday, April 21st, 2025. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. Welcome in. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend, a fantastic holiday weekend if you celebrate Easter. Today we are going to talk about the Detroit Tigers taking 3 of 4 from the Kansas City Royals, baby. That is always a good weekend. I know that some people, myself included, kind of frustrated with Sunday's game just because I don't know. It's really tough for me to play the like should game, right? Say they should. Well, they didn't, right? Ultimately they didn't, and it was their own doing. The offense wasn't good enough on Sunday. Obviously, the error late in the game, not coming through with the bases loaded offensively. There's so much you can point to on Sunday's game. They were in a position to win. I'm trying to figure out other ways to word it without saying the word should, because again, ultimately they didn't. But I don't want that to take away from the weekend as a whole. This is still taking 3 of 4 from the Kansas City Royals. 7-3 victory on Friday, 3-1 on Saturday, and a 4-3 loss in extra innings on Sunday. We already recapped the first game, obviously, on Friday's episode, because that game was on Thursday. The Tigers are now 13-9. Okay, 13-9. That's one of the better records in the American League. They have a plus 24 run differential. That is the second highest in the American League. They're 8-2 at home. And obviously that's 10 games. They have 100 runs scored at the time of this recording. That is third in the American League. Can you even fathom that? Look, will it last? Probably not. Okay. No, I don't think they're going to have the third best offense in the American League. But even if you would have asked me, 4 weeks into the season, you think the Tigers have a top 3 offense in the AL? I'm probably not saying yes. And if you asked me if I wanted to, sign up for that, I would have said yes in a heartbeat. 76 runs against. That is first in the American League. That is the fewest amount of runs given up by any team in the American League, and it is the third fewest in all of baseball. All of that leads to your Detroit Tigers leaving this weekend as the first place team in the American League Central. So that is really my first thought. This was still a great weekend. Frustrating loss on Sunday, absolutely, but a fantastic result against a division rival. What went right? This may shock you. Okay, sarcasm. The starting pitching and the bullpen. Pitching as a whole was king this weekend. Let's start with the starting pitching because, pun intended, Jackson Jobe, 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. His ERA is now 2.7 on the season. Casey Mize, 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. His ERA is 2.22. And Tarik Skubal goes 5 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. His ERA is 2.83. All 3 of these guys not only have really good seasons already, they are all sub-3 ERA pitchers here in late April. Jackson Jobe, I thought this was, again, one of the small sample size, whatever it's worth, one of the better starts of his career. But this one really impressed me because there was very clear in-game adjustments that were made, and I was thrilled, right? This is a guy that went into this outing and first off was going up against one of the best young pitchers, one of the best pitchers, period, in the sport, went toe to toe and came out on top in his fourth career start. That's awesome. But this was an adjustment. He started this outing throwing a lot of fastballs, and the Royals were just sitting heater. They were just waiting for him to throw a fastball. And they were like, the second that he does that, we're just going to be all over it. So he said, fine. And he just stopped throwing it. Now, obviously, that's a little bit overly dramatic. He didn't just not throw one the rest of the outing, but he was way more selective. His usage on the fastball went way down as the game went along for that reason. His changeup was great. His slider was incredible. And he just went back to those two pitches a lot in this outing. And he racked up, again, 5 strikeouts in 5 innings. Pretty solid considering one of the big things he's been trying to get over so far in his career is racking up more swing and miss and more strikeouts. And he had both working in this outing. So I was absolutely thrilled with Jackson Jobe this weekend. Casey Mize, like I said, 7 innings. I think the part that I appreciate the most is that he gave up the home run in the 7th, and Hinch still let him finish the inning and let him, finish the outing. I thought that was really nice, and just for whatever it's worth, like optically, that's just awesome. And Mize was, like the strikeout numbers were a little bit lower in this one, but he still had the swing and miss. It was not like he just didn't have the ability to get strikes and to get those whiffs when he needed. He just wasn't necessarily finishing batters off, but that's fine because it worked really well, and he was keeping hitters off balance. And that splitter continued to really work for him. Fastball up in the zone continued to really work. I was very impressed with him. And then Skubal, it's funny, like I put him in here because ultimately, like 2 earned runs in 5 innings isn't really the worst thing in the world. And the Tigers went into extra innings and had a chance to win this ball game. But he was fighting it. This was not a traditional Tarik Skubal outing. 8 base runners in 5 innings, very off-brand for him. Only 4 strikeouts in 5 innings is kind of low for him as well. But that's the standard that he has set for himself, and I don't think he'd want it any other way, to be honest with you. Like I feel like he's the type of guy that kind of welcomes that. He's just at a point right now and at a talent level and an execution level where 2 earned runs in 5 innings, it's like, was he really that good? It was just command though. And like that'll, it's the middle of April. Like he'll be fine. He is fine. We've seen his last 2 outings have been stellar. Like he's still Tarik Skubal. Everything's totally okay. And ultimately, like if this is as bad as it gets, like if this is like, oh, Tarik Skubal wasn't great today, look, and it's 2 runs against, he's still, the baddest dude on the planet if that's the case. So no issue with that. And again, I can point to about 5 other reasons that the Tigers lost that game before I'm going to start coming at Tarik Skubal in that regard. So let's talk about the offense, and then we'll talk about the bullpen as well. We'll do that right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your bank account and wondered where the heck did all of my money go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, spending, all in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized how much I was spending on very ridiculous things that I didn't need to, like food delivery. Now I budget way smarter and I save way more. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com and you will get 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off of your first year. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout to the everydayers that do tune in every day, and we will, of course, be back tomorrow recapping Game 1 against the San Diego Padres, who have the best record in all of baseball and are coming into town for a 3-game set tonight as you listen to this. We are talking about the weekend that was, though, and taking 3 of 4 from the Kansas City Royals. That is always just music to my ears. Really highlighted the starting pitching there in segment 1 and just how great it was. Kept you in every ball game. Really was arguably the biggest reason they won every game this week. And I mean, we'll talk Torkelson, right? That game on Saturday, you scored runs on one swing. And like, that's not quite how it works. I understand that, right? Like the runners got on base somehow. It's not quite literally one swing, but like if Torkelson doesn't hit a homer there, there's a chance you're getting shut out on Saturday. And instead it's a 3-1 victory for the good guys. The thing that is, well, I was going to say the thing that's impressed me the most, but I don't think that's true. One of the many things that has impressed me with Spencer Torkelson so far this season is the fact that even amidst all of this, changes with the mechanics and him being able to hit a lot of homers, crush the ball, drive the ball, hit the ball to all fields with power, like all of these great things that we are giving him, rightfully so, a lot of credit for. The fact that he is walking at the time of this recording, a 13% clip on top of all that is incredible. It feels like every game he draws a walk, like legitimately. That's what it feels like, man. He's incredible. He's incredible. And I couldn't be happier for him. He deserves all that comes his way in that regard. And what a time to be a Tiger fan, baby. Casey Mize, Spencer Torkelson. That game, you had Mize go 7 innings of 1-run ball, and Torkelson hit a 3-run homer to win it. Not like a walk-off, but like the only runs we scored. That is how 2020 Tigers fans drew it up. That's how we drew it up 5 years ago. Days like Saturday. Kerry Carpenter, a great weekend. He just crushed really all weekend. He just hits lasers, man. His swing is so beautiful. His bat path is so literally perfect. He was fantastic. We'll talk a little bit more about the stress of the removal from the ball game when we talk stuff here at the end of the show. Tomas Nido, man, shout out the dog. Okay, gets a start against Cole Reagans, because they want him to catch Jobe, because last time he caught Jobe did pretty well. Jobe does well again. And on top of that, Tomas Nido has a 3-hit day, including 2 off Cole Reagans. What an absolute beauty Tomas Nido is. Shout out. Zach McKinstry, yet again. This is not even surprising anymore, which is surprising. It's a heck of a contradiction there. What's it called? A paradox, if you will. But he was great all weekend, man. Like this is, you are starting to get to the point in his production where you start putting the pieces together of, okay, where does everyone go when players get healthy again, right? When Vierling comes back, when Meadows comes back, we'll talk about that when we talk stuff as well. Where do you find a spot for Zach McKinstry? And I think that you sure as heck need one as it stands right now, because not only is he producing, dude, he's hitting like in the middle of the lineup and he's producing. It's not like, oh my goodness, AJ, you're overthinking this. Why the heck is Zach McKinstry in the middle of the lineup? Nope. He had a 3-hit game on Sunday and I think got on base twice on Saturday. Had an RBI Sunday. Like he's been incredible. Absolutely incredible. So tip of the cap. And that's not even to mention the great defensive versatility and value he brings in the base running, et cetera, man. Want to put a bow on what went right this weekend by just giving credit to the bullpen. We talked about the starting pitching. The entire weekend, the Detroit Tigers bullpen gave up one okay, so real talk. I wanted to say single, and then my brain was like, say singular. That'd be cool. And then it came out what you just heard. The bullpen gave up one single run, earned run. Goodness gravy, all weekend. If I could just get through this sentence. One single earned run all weekend. Kenta Maeda did give up the earned run on Friday. And then on Sunday, you had Canely give up an unearned run because Javi had a throwing error, and then Tyler Holton gave up the Manfred runner, which is also an unearned run. So one earned run across 3 games. And it was Kenta Maeda. Pretty darn good. The run totals against for the Royals, the run totals against for the Tigers, so the Royals run totals this weekend, 1-3-1-4. That is a 4-game set where you held your opponent to single-digit runs. That's 9 runs. Not earned, unearned, doesn't matter. 9 total runs for the Royals in a 4-game series. That is effing phenomenal. And the bullpen has just as much to do with that as the starting rotation does. Absolutely incredible. And if you want to point to, a biggest difference maker so far, 3-4 weeks into the season, really hard to go anywhere else but just the pitching as a whole. And obviously AJ gets a ton of credit for his ever so incredible bullpen management. He's always been very good at that. Let's talk about what went wrong this weekend. They did drop the game on Sunday, and on top of that, there was still some up and down moments over this weekend. We'll start with Kenta Maeda because I was already talking about him. The only thing I'll say about that outing on Friday, that legitimately the Tigers were up 7-2 going into the 9th inning, and then the tying run came to the plate. Like that can't happen. Obviously, I don't need to tell you all that. The one thing I'll say about Maeda, and I posted this somewhere, I think on Twitter or X or whatever. Your lowest leverage reliever no longer has value. How do I word this? Your lowest leverage reliever no longer serves his purpose when you have to use your highest leverage reliever anyway. Tommy Kahnle is this team's highest leverage back end of the bullpen reliever. Holton is kind of like the overarching incredible superhero that can kind of be put in any situation, high leverage included. But on a consistent basis so far this season, Tommy Kahnle has been like the de facto closer and has been the guy that they go to in the 9th inning of save situation games. There is zero excuse for having to use Tommy Kahnle on Friday's game. That is absolutely absurd. And that is why I think they seriously have to start having the conversation about removing Kenta Maeda from the roster. Like again, it'd be one thing if he could. It's like, okay, he has a 6 ERA, but like he holds 5-run leads at least in 1 inning. Again, if your lowest leverage reliever, when you put him in, still causes you to have to use your highest leverage reliever, then there's no point in having a lowest leverage reliever. That guy he's not that. He is not serving his one purpose. Okay, let's move on. We will talk about some of the offensive struggles from the weekend because there was a handful. Then we'll talk Sunday's game in general before we get to stuff. We'll do all of that right after this. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, I am just disgustingly tired. So if I promise you I'm pumped, okay? I'm amped. I'm trying to bring some energy. It is very late / early. It is Monday. Very long Easter holiday all over the place, seeing family and whatnot. Had a great day. Okay, had a great day. Just a very long one and got home very late, but want to make sure that I get this out because this was a really exciting weekend, and I don't want to leave you all, holiday or not, kind of empty-handed after taking 3 or 4 from a division rival. So, as far as what went wrong this weekend, outside of obviously, as we already talked about, Kenta Maeda, Riley Green after Friday continued to struggle. Obviously the play on Sunday, or the bases loaded situation Sunday, grounding into a double play there is pretty brutal. But really, after Friday, just in general, kind of, I don't want to say went back to what he was doing. He honestly wasn't striking out as much as he was, but we're back to now ground out Green, which was, what people called him when he first got called up, and he had that ridiculously high ground ball rate, and it was just consistently ground balls to second base. That's kind of what this weekend looked like. It was like, okay, he's putting the ball in play at least. And we saw on Friday, he had a couple of hits and had a pretty nice day for himself. But I think that that's just something he's going to have to, work through. And he's made adjustments with that before. And last year he had a below league average ground ball rate. Like I think he knows how to fix that, and we'll get through this much quicker than the last slump. But I guess it's all kind of the same slump. He didn't really ever leave it, but you get my point. The last issue, which was striking out a billion times. So we'll see. But just something I wanted to point out this series. Do want to talk about Gleyber Torres, man, which is unfortunate because I really like what he brings to the team. I like putting him in the leadoff spot because he's such a difficult strikeout. And he has pretty solid walk numbers so far this season as well. He's just a really professional, tough at bat. I don't even know if I want to call it an issue. My concern is they're so far this season, and hopefully this is like a reverse jinx situation where he just goes out there and hits a home run today. But like there seems to be zero power in that bat. And again, there's value in what he does bring. I'm not saying that every single player is capable and needs to not strike out ever, walk a ton, and hit a homer every time they step into the batter's box. But like this is a guy whose batting average is pretty decent. The walk numbers are there. His strikeout numbers are really low. His swing and miss numbers are really low. He's a really tough at bat. But it just feels like everything he hits is just like a soft line drive in the infield or to like the shallow outfield. Just really, really not a lot of pop so far as a Tiger. So we'll see if that changes. We'll see just kind of as the season goes along. We'll keep an eye on it. But didn't have I think he went 1 for 10. He didn't play on Saturday. So 1 for 10, I think 1 for 12 with a few strikeouts this weekend. Not awesome. Colt Keith, some more rough at bats on Saturday, and then just completely airmailed shortstop on a throw. Line drive right to him, turned, should have doubled the runner off, and just sent it into orbit. Gleyber's the everyday shortstop. Goodness, I apologize. Gleyber's the everyday second baseman. And I think that the only reason that Gleyber's even getting, once a series off is just because you're still trying to make sure that he's healthy. That's kind of just been what they've done since he came off the IL. So I'd imagine that goes away here pretty quickly as well. Honestly, we'll put a bow on what went wrong by just talking about Sunday late in the game in general. You had the Javi error, really frustrating. You had Riley Green, like I said, with the bases loaded, grounds into a double play. Just like that is both can be true. I heard people that were talking about like, forget who it was, 97-1 maybe. I genuinely don't remember. So I apologize for not being able to give proper credit there, but it's, I heard people talking about like, if you can be okay with the loss on Sunday, or if it's, like a bigger deal. And it's like, both can be true. Like you can acknowledge that they should have won the game on Sunday while also being freaking amped and pumped that they just took 3 of 4 from a division rival that made the playoffs last year. Like that, you know what I mean? Both can be true. You will not win out. It is April, dude. Like you're gonna lose games. So you might as well take as many series as you can, and like losing is inevitable in baseball. That's one of the reasons it's so frustrating but so beautiful. Like failure is guaranteed. No one is going to have a perfect success rate in this sport in any capacity. So it's one of those things where I am not losing sleep, certainly not tonight, period. As you can tell, I can barely keep my eyes open if you're watching on YouTube. But I will not be losing sleep over the game on Sunday. It was frustrating. They should have won. But if you would have asked me going into the weekend, would I take 3 of 4 and an extra innings loss from the Royals this weekend? I would have laughed in your face, taken it, and ran in the other direction because I think that I just fleeced you. Like, yes, 4-game sweeps are very hard. That's why they don't happen very often. Stuff. Jackson Jobe versus Cole Reagans on Saturday. Electric factory, dude. Absolute electric. Great stuff. Obviously, I can kind of say that now in hindsight because the Tigers won. And it's, awesome because they won. And they, I think, tagged Reagans for 5 earned runs. Obviously, he wasn't on the mound for all 5 of those, but all 5 of those were his. And that was just really cool to see Jobe kind of get to go toe-to-toe with one of the league's best and come out on top there. Also really cool, in that outing, you see Tarik Skubal. Go find the video. I think I retweeted it. Jackson Jobe and Tarik Skubal talking in the dugout, which I think was super, super cool. Kind of mid-outing, you're seeing the best pitcher in baseball try and give advice to the best pitching prospect in baseball. I think that's... And then Chris Fetter's next to him, the best pitching coach in baseball. How lucky are we, man? What a time to be alive. You could have been alive at any point in human history, and you were around for Jackson Jobe, Tarik Skubal, and Chris Fetter all to be in the Tigers dugout at the same time. What a beautiful life. Kerry Carpenter pulled from the game on Sunday. This is, not a beautiful life. This is the opposite. So I think it's pretty safe to say that there's an injury. The reports I've seen have been hamstring related. So we'll see what comes of that. But he was due up in the 9th of a close game and got pinch hit for Ryan Kreidler. So I think that's kind of writing was on the wall that he was hurt. I don't think AJ does that in any other situation unless it is an injury. Hamstring is the initial report. Further testing needs to be done is the latest update I have here after midnight. So I don't know, but I'll tell you what, if he goes on the injured list, I'll cry. I just want a full season of Kerry Carpenter, man. I just want a full season of Carp. That would be so devastating with all the other injuries the Tigers have already had. If their best hitter goes on the IL, that would be devastating. It would also really test your outfield depth really quickly, which you already have been getting tested on. But who's, Badu, I guess, who's even the next call up? I don't know. We're going to hope that's not the case and that Kerry Carpenter's fine. In positive injury news, Matt Vierling seems to be progressing very well and should be making a starting his rehab assignment here soon-ish was what I heard. So that's super fun. Hopefully that's the case. And then to make your weekend, I'll wake up for this. Okay. This is one of the best news reports I have received maybe in my life. Okay. Obviously being way overly dramatic. Parker Meadows is throwing a baseball, folks. Just that'll bring a tear to your eye. That legitimately, I might start crying. Parker Meadows has began a throwing program, which is the Tigers' return to play program. This is beautiful. He's not eligible to return till the end of May, so they're going to take it slow, and he's got plenty of time. But the fact that he is throwing a baseball in April takes so much of my worries away. And I am so happy. And I hope that he is, within the next 3 weeks, he is on a rehab assignment. And the second that he's eligible to come off the injured list, he does so. Because adding him to a team that's already kind of in the mix toward the top of the division would be cheating. And I'm down. All right. Padres coming into town. As I said at the start of the show, they have the best record in all of baseball at the time of this recording. Game 1 is Randy Vasquez against Kiter Montero. Game 2, Jack Flaherty against Nick Pivetta. Game 3, Reese Olson versus Kyle Hart. Yeah, I mean, based on pitching matchups, I think you're probably in line for at least one win. I think that Game 3, you definitely should win. Kyle Hart has had a rough year, and it's not an outlier, is the way I guess I'll word that. So I think that should be a game that you are, especially at home, that you should probably take advantage of. Pavetta's had a really solid year, good pitcher. Jack Flaherty, probably a better pitcher. And then Vasquez has had a really good start to the season, but hasn't really gone deep in games yet. A lot of 4 1/3, 4 2/3, 5 innings of work, but has not given up very many runs in those. And then Montero, we kind of know what he is. That'll be tonight's game. So my point is, you have pitching matchup only. If you only look at the pitching side of things, you have the ability to take any of these games. It's just a matter of whether you're able to take multiple against the team that has a better record than the Dodgers and is been absolutely lights out on both sides of the ball. Their runs for is diabolical. Their runs against is disturbing. Okay. They are really good. They have a really good lineup. They have really good players. They have MVP candidates. They have a really good bullpen. It's a really good baseball team. So let's defend, home field and why not us, baby? Go take 2 of 3. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow. I assure you I'll have more pep in my step then. I apologize if this was a garbage listen. We'll be back tomorrow. It was, I just really want to make sure I got an episode out because this was a noteworthy weekend. I didn't want to leave y'all hanging. All right. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. And I will catch you all tomorrow. Go Tigers, baby.